Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Alice by Christina Henry. This is a fantasy horror book. It came out in 2015 from Ace Books. Are you looking for a violent, tension through the roof, wild ride that will destroy a movie from your childhood? Well, look no further. Alice is messed up. What is it about? In a warren of crumbling buildings and desperate people called the Old City stands a hospital with cinder block walls that echo the screams of the poor souls inside. In the hospital, there's a woman. Her hair, once blonde, hangs in tangles down her back. She doesn't remember why she's in such a terrible place. Just a tea party long ago, and long ears and blood. Then one night, a fire at the hospital gives the woman a chance to escape. She tumbles out of the hole that imprisoned her, leaving her free to uncover the truth about what happened to her all those years ago. Only something else has escaped with her, something dark, something powerful. And to find the truth, she will have to track this beast to the very heart of the Old City, where the rabbit waits for his Alice. Ooh. If you don't mind disturbing concepts, body horror, and trauma stories, then there's a lot of things to love about this novel. The first is Alice's journey. In the initial chapters, I was like, oh my god, what a freaking damsel. Like, doesn't Alice have any agency at all? Because she's basically being propelled through a story, one that bears her name, by someone else. Yet, as the novel progresses, Alice grows to obtain or regain agency and soon becomes the driving force of the decisions and the plot. In this way, her physical journey is mimicking her mental journey. She learns to take back control of not only her life, but her reaction to her trauma and how she uses it. There are some content warnings I'll point out because this is not a book to go into if you get nightmares from certain things. There are references to sexualized violence in this novel of Alice and others, mutilation, coercion into sex work, cannibalism, and lots of violence. Yet while there are stabbings and hackings, they are very quick. It's not like a detailed amount of... I wouldn't call this book gory, I guess you could say. And the rest of what I mentioned are seen kind of after the fact. We don't see any of these things actually happening, just the after effects of the things that had happened. In this way, I could handle it. As in my old age, everyone's sensitive to certain topics, but there's nothing in this book that really, like, stuck in my mind, you know, as they say, rent-free, because it was so disturbing. It was just kind of like, it happened, but we're not going to go into detail. And I was like, okay, I appreciate this approach. The other thing to love about this novel is how the book plays with the original characters. Alice in Wonderland was never a favorite movie or book of mine as a child, so I only had like vague recollections of the characters. But in this novel, the walrus, carpenter, caterpillar, and of course the Cheshire Cat are involved in a gangland turf war. It's actually kind of awesome. They are not the anthropomorphized creatures from the films, they just take the names. Yeah, they definitely are not. So if you love the old movie and don't want to see these characters turned into terrible villains, except for Cheshire, who, he is kind of a villain, but he's not as bad as the others. In fact, I kind of thought he was awesome. You should steer clear of this. If you don't mind that or are intrigued, then go right ahead and read it, I guess. I'm not your mother. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Personally, because I have no emotional attachment to the source material, I thought it was an incredibly creative, albeit warped, adaptation. Likewise, I had no idea where the story was going next. Just like in the original Wonderland, Alice is trying to get out of something, though now she's paired with Hatcher, a young man who, like her, was in the insane asylum for 10 years. But unlike her, he's an axe murderer. Yet, Alex isn't above violence either, as it turns out. She grows from a victim to a survivor to a morally grey heroine, a journey that I've rarely seen done with such finesse. And speaking of Hatcher, I didn't realize until after I finished the book that he was supposed to be based on the Mad Hatter, which I guess makes sense, since he is rather insane with all his bloodlust. I just didn't pick up on it, because apparently I don't know the source material as well as I kind of thought. In truth, I thought this novel was absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't stop reading it. I read it in like 2 nights. Some parts I was reading with my heart in my throat, but I also knew somehow that this was a story about revenge, not piling on more trauma. It's like Kill Bill. It's bloody, and Alice has to face off against multiple bosses to get to the big one at the end, which ends up differently than you'd expect. But it's also about compassion, it's about helping others, and it's about trust. Alice, despite her knife, still has a conscience and a drive to help those who need it. What she doesn't have is qualms about killing those who wronged her. And sometimes these type of stories are cathartic. We get so many stories today about how real heroes let villains live, and those are fantastic stories for younger readers who are still developing their consciences, because I believe that is the morals we want them to have in society. But for us adults that can differentiate between fantasy and reality, revenge tales sometimes just hit the spot. So if you want something weird, bloody, and with addictive, descriptive, and wholly imaginative prose, you should totally check this out. It's a great book to read at Halloween. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Did I like it as much as Once a Monster? I don't know. Actually, I liked it quite a bit. I have to think about that. Oh no, this is going to be a hard decision month again. Anyway, thanks for watching. And oh yeah, so this book was supposed to get me um, a spot on the Trick or Treat-a-thon bingo board, but when I picked it, I assumed it was a portal fantasy because that's what the original Alice in Wonderland was. But this does not appear to be a portal fantasy, so I don't think I get that prompt. I'm gonna have to look into it, which kind of sucks because anyway, whatever. Still fun. 30 long is still fun. So yeah, thanks.